everyone. Thanks for being so on time to another Twitter Spaces, which is hosted by Morningstar Ventures. I'm your host, Njani, and today we are very excited to dive into one of the top narratives in the crypto space, if not the top narrative, which is chain abstraction and how it is the key to mass adoption. So, joining us to discuss this topic and also explain a bit more about what it is Burnt Banksy, aka Anthony,
Whoop,
who
whoop.
is the CEO and co founder of XION, which is a walletless blockchain that is making crypto complexities disappear. So, welcome once again. It's great to have you here.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. And just before we get started, I wanted to let you guys know in the audience that we welcome questions. So if you have any questions throughout the interview, feel free to put them in the comment section. But if you would prefer to ask your question live, we've allocated some time at the very end of the Twitter Spaces. So just sit tight. All right, let's get started. Anthony, I would love if you could introduce yourself, share a little bit more about who you are and what your background is, and also tell us why you are in the crypto space.
Yeah, my real name is Anthony, but I naturally go by Burnt Banksy. Got that name 3 years ago. I bought a Banksy art piece, lit it on fire, and sold it as an NFT. I'm in the crypto space because I am unable to do anything else, and I love it more than anything. Happy to dive into that more, but I think there's no place I'd rather be, and been here probably for some odd eight-ish years or something like that. And at this point, we're just too far gone.
You're too deep into the rabbit
Yeah,
hole
what
of
am I gonna do?
crypto.
Go to AI? No.
No. Yeah. Okay. What were you doing anything before you joined crypto?
Mm, Not really. I mean, nothing specialized, I would say.
Hmm.
And then kind of just hyper specialized into crypto. And
Yeah. So you already mentioned that you got your name because you burnt a Banksy, and that's also kind of how I guess the inception of Zion
Mhm.
started, right? So could you tell us what was the idea behind burning this Banksy painting, and how did it lead to Zion?
Yeah. The time this was 2021. The idea we came up with it in 2020, right? So think December 2020. NFTs were just kind of not a thing. You really only had like CryptoPunks and CryptoKitties and like Zhorse. And I think like at the time the average NFT, like the highest NFT sale was probably like $40,000, and it was just like a very rare CryptoKitty, like a very good Zhorse. And so there really were nothing to this level. Um, and I had collected a bunch of CryptoKitties. I loved CryptoKitties, and I had a bunch of CryptoPunks. Don't have them anymore, unfortunately. But they were definitely nothing as compared to what they used to be. And a lot of people kind of made fun of that who were in the real world, right? With the idea of like, well, if it's definitely can't be art. If it's not on my wall, if I can't show it to people, then there's no value in it. And you'll find this a lot where most of my response is, okay, fuck you, let me show you. And so we bought a art piece, Banksy art piece, very famous. Banksy is very known for kind of doing these stunts. And so we bought an art piece called Morons. It actually makes fun of English auction houses, and it was genuinely a perfect piece. But it was one of these things where we said, okay, let me take something that has value, was sold in a Sotheby's auction, and light it on fire and transfer it to the digital world, and we'll see if it holds value. So we bought it for about 90,000, and then we sold it for about, I think it was like 400,000 at the time, and it worked. And then kind of from there, about a week later, the Beeple thing happened, and the Nyan Cat happened, and so really a lot of what you see today kind of stemmed from that. The way that then went over to Zion, of course, is it was absolutely miserable process. I've been in crypto for quite some time, and even for us, it was still really, really annoyingly difficult to do this, to mint the NFT, sell it on OpenSea, and there was a lot of problems. So with that kind of being said, we were like, well, there's kind of no way we could really provide the value of crypto because it's inherently too difficult, even for the really, really highly technical. And effectively, that was where Zion was born.
Yeah, really great story. And I think it's an interesting way, right? People keep saying, "Oh, NFT art isn't a thing," but then you kind of prove them wrong in a very revolutionary type of way. Um, and yeah, I saw the video that you guys had made about burning it, and it was the story behind it was really cool, and I also like the way that it led to where you guys are now,
Mhm.
which is obviously Zion, which is the layer one that is advocating chain abstraction. But I actually wanted to ask you, why exactly do we need Zion, right? So we have over like 300 layer ones and layer twos that are currently live on the market. So what makes Zion different, and why is it the layer one that people should be using?
Yeah. First of all, I mean, that's a great question. And I think you see so many of these, especially with how easy it is to create L2s. It's increasingly easier to be an L1 or an L2. And I think that's actually for the better. Zion, one of the things that makes it very different is that we're one of the only collaborative L1s, and we're the only walletless L1. So what does that kind of mean? That means that for us, the only thing that we really care about is making sure that a user can use a product. And I would say that at Zion, we believe that we're going to only see more L1s popping up. And I think you saw this very old guard mentality of, oh, well, it's going to be either Solana or it's going to be Ethereum. But, there's going to be hundreds of these, and I don't think it's going to be a winner take all. And I believe that chain's only going to hyper specialize, right? You're going to have a chain for this, you're going to have a chain for that. And really, Zion will act as kind of this abstraction chain, right? It'll be this point of this point of abstraction where the users will come in, being able to use very seamless logins, not needing to know that they're interacting with crypto, and the apps that they use could be on Solana or Ethereum or uh, Movement or Base. It doesn't matter. And so being able to keep composability throughout crypto, being able to allow products to thrive is kind of the MO that we take. And so to then revert back to your question, we hope that there's more L1s, right? We hope that there's more L2s. And I think it is semantic that we're an L1, but I think purely for the fact of we're a place where things settle.
And you were talking a little bit about already, like how users are basically using your features. Can you dive a little bit deeper into like what were some of the success stories or use cases for, I guess, both of your audiences, right? Developers and also individual users.
We've had a ton. I mean, we have projects who like EarnOS, who's worked with Uber and North Face. We have projects like Animation Plus who are working with Samsung. Um, we've had people who have never made a crypto application in their life make a amazing NFT marketplace better than I've attempted to do. um, there have been, and I think like working with, I think last week we announced Say integration. Before that, we've done Solana, Injective, Neutron. We've effectively created the most interchain accounts ever created via IBC, not once but twice. We have one of the most powerful cults in the industry, and strike fear into the eyes of the enemies. Which, I mean, at that point, what else could you really want?
Yeah, definitely. I really do think you guys have a very strong, you call it cult, right?
Yes.
You guys have a very strong cult, and definitely a massive ecosystem, which is also, in a relatively short period of time, you guys have really built that up. I'm curious actually, how do you guys foster your cult, and like what has kind of been the value of their support in your overall growth?
I mean, I think first and foremost, it's just a lot of fun. Um, and I think the value is actually been very funny, where um, you know, a lot of the cult kind of makes their own rules in a way, which is great and kind of what you want. And so like I'll give you a really good example. There's this up podcast, which if anyone hasn't checked it out, I highly recommend you checking it out. The Roll Up podcast, Andy. Um, and Andy used to make this mistake where he either wouldn't mention Zion, or if he then did mention Zion, he wouldn't mention Zion first. And the good thing about the cult is that they have harassed Andy to such a level where if you look at any point when Andy mentions chain abstraction, not only are we mentioned, we're first. And it's been a very, I think there's the value of, obviously being first, but then there's the value of seeing the fear in your enemy's eyes, and I think that's more valuable than anything, really.
Yeah, that's funny that they did that. They really chased him and
Oh yeah.
saying that they should yeah, I mean, I think that's like one of the biggest part of crypto, right? Is that people just need to stick together. And I see also a lot of comments and a lot of people have already joined. So that's just a true testament to the fact that you guys have built a really strong cult. Let's go a little bit more into perhaps your ecosystem. And I actually also was a bit more curious. You mentioned EarnOS, just jumping back again, like what exactly you guys are building with them, because this is quite interesting that they're working with such big brands and doing a little bit more of a community based like branding
Hmm.
initiative.
Yeah. So I would say like ONOS, we've been very close to the team for a very, very long time. The CEO is actually working out of our office these past 3 weeks, and we've gotten very fortunately very close to the team. But ONOS takes an interesting perspective because the entire project comes from ex Uber, ex Uber, ex crypto ish, but like mostly this kind of Web 2, right? Of like either ad agencies or Uber, and very, very veteran team who are kind of they've brought in they've gotten their feet a little deep in crypto, but this is their really first foray into crypto on a high level. And so it's really interesting working with them because they take a lot of these perspectives of things that wouldn't inherently work in crypto but do work in the real world, and it's very funny seeing those differences. But what they effectively said was, we believe from working in these ad agencies and working with something like an Uber, we believe that there's a fundamental flaw in how kind of current marketing exists, and we believe that this has kind of been tried a lot, this idea of like direct to consumer marketing. But if you look at all the other projects, they've actually all failed, or they're like really confined to a super niche set that ends up
Yeah,
not being
definitely.
large enough, right? And like the interesting thing about crypto, and I find this is we start to cross this chasm of like early adopters versus the mainstream audience, which the mainstream audience wants a very full and complete solution, and the early adopters want something innovative. They don't really care about like how nice it looks or something like that. They want something innovative. They want something cool. And trying to balance these two audiences is quite difficult naturally. But I think EarnOS does this very, very well by kind of understanding what brands want because they've worked there, and understanding how to get there with their crypto knowledge, right? And once you take this solutionism out of crypto, I always say, then you actually start to find solutions. Like what you don't realize is that it's actually almost impossible to send $5 to 2 million people in the world. Almost impossible without crypto.
Yeah. No, that's definitely true. And I think like that's also what makes it interesting for projects like them to be working with you guys, because your solutions and your features are enabling them to um, build out products that will allow them to basically reach a way wider
Hmm.
audience, right? And so when you are, obviously building out your product and you're working with so many different um, other different partners, like are you receiving a lot of helpful feedback, or are there any things where you're thinking, okay, these are really challenges for us that we need to continue to develop further?
Of course. I mean, it's always a constant thing, right? And I think it's funny because most of the time it ends up being like a weird back and forth of like someone being like, well, we actually want to do it. We want to do a wallet like this. And like, well, no, that's pretty stupid. Like, I don't think you should do that. Like, this is a much easier way of looking at this. And then it's just kind of like aha moment of, oh, why didn't I ever think about this? Which is awesome. You kind of love to see that. And so with that kind of being said, right, like it's what we're discovering is that there's this whole open field of the unknown. And I think discovering that with projects, depending on their use case, because every project's use case is inherently different, right? Means a different discovery, and it means a very interesting discovery every time.
Right. No, definitely. I think that um, that also probably speaks to why your ecosystem has grown so far,
Mhm.
so large. I think you guys have like over 200 projects or something that you're working with. Before we continue, I just wanted to address one question that was in the comment section by Dimitru. If there's going
No,
to be some,
what did
huh?
Dimitri say? Did
He asked if there was some Q&A clock at the end of the space.
Yeah, but I will put any amount of
Yeah.
money that if you let Dimitri up, you know what? Can we just cut to can you let Dimitri up right now? Because what's gonna happen is he's just gonna come up, he's gonna give one question that's real, and then the second question is just gonna be when. So if you could just let him up now and let's just get this out of the way. Because
Okay, well if he needs to raise his hand.
Dimitri, please raise your hand so we can get this out of the way.
Is it Zabolo the Zabolotini
Yeah,
D? Is
that's
that
him.
his like at handle? Okay, yeah. Okay, well you heard it, Dimitri. Don't be
Yep.
shy.
Let's
You can ask
ask
your
it away.
question, and on request of the CEO, but we still have to wait for him to raise his hand. But oh, there he is. He's like add a speaker. Okay, he should be connecting now. This is definitely a first. A CEO has never requested a
I
question
know exactly
directly.
what it is, so I just want to get it over.
Hello,
Yeah, hi
hello guys,
Dimitri.
hello
Yep.
guys. Thank you
Hello,
for
Yes, of
hello.
having
course. Your
me.
English is fine. Keep going.
I'm so
Yep.
happy that you're inviting me. Thank you
Uh-huh.
very much. Damn, I really love you guys. Thank you for this opportunity. You know what I'm come through. Just like we had a lot of calls, we have a lot of great spaces, but this one is really different because I came with the whole community. I know I spoke with Indonesian community, Vietnam community, Russian, Ukrainian. I spoke with guys from the London and from United States, and there is only one question,
Yep.
and just
Mm-hmm.
this is so hard to ask you because every time when I ask Banksy about this, he's literally harassing me. He's just like killing me by his voice. He's just like he's coming over me and just like, damn, if you want once more this time.
Yep.
So yeah, I really love Zion. I really appreciate all the community things that team is making and cooking. This is really incredible. That's why we love Zion, and that's why we really appreciate it. But only one question, and this time I really want Banksy to answer just like directly to me because
Oh
it's
my
really
God.
hard to explain. Came from my
Yep.
heart. So Anthony, sir, please tell me when, and I love you. Yeah.
No, I mean, and listen. We always appreciate the questions from the community. And I think questions are what make the world go round. And I think if without questions we are nothing, and without nothing we are questions, right? And so, I think that for growth we need questions like this. And I think, in order to naturally grow, we must be better. And so I think that's a great question, Dimitri.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
you're
you very
welcome.
much. Yeah, because
Thank you, Dimitri.
it's much bigger
Yeah,
than
no,
me.
of course.
Thank you very much
Of
for
course.
opportunity,
Of course.
guys. And I think I made this space a little bit fun.
Yeah, we love you.
Yeah.
We love
Yes,
you, dude.
you definitely do. Thank you. Thank you, Dimitri. And Anthony, I think I found a alternative career for you. If it doesn't work out, I think politics might be an interesting one for you. That was a very, very political answer you had right there. And Dimitri actually did touch upon one of the questions I was going to ask you later on, which is if you could, give us any alpha. But before we do that, maybe more on the product side, more on the feature side, and on what you guys are actually building. What are more your short-term versus long-term plans with Zion?
I mean, I think a lot of them end up being, the long-term plans end up being like really exciting things, right? Like things that we just want to do and grow the ecosystem. But like I think we're well on our way of just like building, right? So the short term is build out the ecosystem, right? Make the best ecosystem in the world. And I think that is also naturally the long term, but I think as the team expands, as we grow, like everything's going to get more exciting. And I think some of the things that we're going to build, there's obviously going to be more stunts. There's obviously going to be more cool shit that we build. There's obviously going to be mainnet. And I think to answer the short and long term, obviously mainnet is coming soon. With the answer I normally give to that question. But I think working with a lot of these projects and just like when we get to this hyper growth stage, which we're really quickly turning into, it's really, really exciting. And I think like the product of Zion grows, the reach of Zion grows, and it becomes something different than just like a simple npm package that a project can install.
Yeah. I mean, with 700,000 Twitter followers, you guys are definitely also growing quite quickly in terms of
Yeah.
reach. And I saw that we also have a question from someone called Atoz. Do you want to take that now? Do you prefer to take
Well,
that
we'll
at the
take
end
it
of
now. We can
the
take it
session?
now.
Okay. All right. Atoz, you can ask your question.
We really fucked this up, didn't we?
It's okay. Go with the flow. Atoz, please ask your question. Welcome. You need to unmute yourself first. If you're on your phone, it's on the bottom left.
Oh, I'm sorry. I accidentally just clicked the request. I actually don't have any question.
Okay.
No
Well,
worries.
thank you. Have a nice day, and well, hope you enjoy the spaces. Well, then back to me, I guess. So I was actually curious. You know, we're obviously talking a lot about XION, which is, you know, what you're building. But another thing is that you're also a founder, and you're a founder in one of the most crazy spaces, I think, in the whole entire
World.
I mean, like
Yeah.
industry, yeah, in the world. And we're always curious to hear what are some tips that our founders have for other aspiring entrepreneurs out there, whether that is in crypto or not. But if you could give us 3 words of wisdom or 3 of your tips as to what you would tell an entrepreneur, given, you know, your experience.
3 words of advice. Have they started yet? I think that's a big question. Like, are they already in it? Because I would say if they're already in it,
Yeah,
I would say
yeah.
don't do it.
We've heard that
yeah.
one a lot.
Don't drive yourself fucking insane. And don't be a dick.
Okay. So be polite.
I think being polite is different than don't be a dick. I'd like to
clarify that.
2 different things. You don't have to inherently be polite. Just don't be a dick.
Right. Okay. No, it is 2 different things, definitely. All right, 3 pieces of
I
advice.
think Danilo would say.
Don't be hard on
I do
yourself.
think Danilo would say that I'm
do it.
very polite. I think Danilo and Peter, I see Peter's here as well. I think that both of them could attest that I might be the most polite person in the world.
Okay, well, Peter, if you give a thumbs up, we'll say.
Peter, I'll fucking kill you. Give me a thumbs up.
Okay, nice. That's great pieces of advice, honestly. And well, we also just wanted to hear about, you know, with the market getting a little bit, you know, more green these days and better and everything that's happening. Are there any projects, obviously besides your own, that are really exciting to you at the moment? And what do you think, and why are they exciting for you?
I mean, I think anyone building anything actually on the product level is very interesting to me. Like, I think infrastructure needs to come to a little bit of a halt. Not a halt, but like I think I'm get excited about products like Blackbird. I think they're doing really cool shit. And I think products that naturally like align with the vision of XION. I think that anyone trying to make interoperability better also is very exciting. Like, I love what the union guys are doing. I love what Hyperlane, pretty much everyone there. I like everyone in the chain. I love everyone in the chain abstraction space because I think the thesis is shared very well. Agoric Dean is one of the most passionate people I think I've ever seen, and he's fucking awesome. But yeah, I think that anyone really trying to just make crypto better instead of trying to make crypto more crypto is a project that I'm excited about, if that makes sense.
So do you think that then potentially chain abstraction is going to continue to be the strongest narrative going further?
I hope so. Like, I hope in a way it doesn't really become a narrative and it just becomes like the future, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Like, I think modularity was a narrative because it was a specific approach to something, but I think like the North Star of chain abstraction is inherently much larger than that of modularity, right? Which is, let's just have people using this, right? Now we have 7 billion people, 8 billion people that we've now been able to target instead of like 12.
Yeah. Well, I want to move back into a little bit more on the XION side and everything that you guys and everything you talked about before. And I know that we have a lot of like XION fans on the call already, but I also wanted to go a little bit more into the people that are not as techie. And you said that you obviously you're launching on Mainnet, which is probably, well, is going to scale your product. How can you explain a little bit how that is going to look like and how you're going to handle, potential scalability issues as your user base continues to grow?
Yeah, I mean, I think the way that we're working on this is like, so this is definitely, I think you kind of look at the triangle of decentralization when you look at scalability, right? Like I think that you have this, you always have, right? Scalability, security, and decentralization. And I think kind of the way that that's going to transfer is scalability is kind of like, scalability will just kind of only emphasize these other points of security, decentralization, and speed. But I think that only gets more extreme on scalability, right? And I think each point of the, like, rather than having to pick one of the three, I think we're at a point in the industry where it's about optimizing all of them in quite independent ways. And so just making sure things are still fast, right? Because that's what the end user cares about. Making sure that things are still secure, because who the hell wants to lose money? And then making sure that decentralization is important, not only just for the people who are like actually using the products, but like, because it's a way to scale significantly faster. And I think that's an underrated acknowledgement that that decentralization doesn't inherently need to be a negative. It could actually be a very huge positive. And I think it only is seen as a negative because of this kind of like legacies decision we've had.
Do you think it is actually seen as a negative though? I feel like a lot of,
well, it's like, I mean, it's a
people
triangle,
are
right? Like you
seeing
have to
it.
pick one.
Yeah.
Like negative in the fact of like, oh, you have to choose between decentralization or speed, or like decentralization. Yeah, that's what I mean by a negative.
Okay, I see what you mean. Like, but I do think that probably at one point all three are going to be possible.
I agree.
But until we get to that point, it's going to take a little bit more of time. And now I wanted to round off the conversation. We've been talking for a while now, and we've also had some audience questions, obviously, and give you a little bit of space in terms of telling us if there's any other news that you wanted to share with us. Obviously, you guys are working on Mainnet, but are there any things that the community can also still look forward to that you haven't potentially shared yet?
Aside from soon, a lot of exciting stuff. I think we're going to be doing some really exciting stuff, obviously kind of with chain abstraction, and some of the other bigger projects. I don't know if this is alpha. I think I may have said this before, but I think one of the ones that I'm very excited about is Berachain, and we're building a very cool multi-chain application with them. That'll be very fitting to both of our projects. So that'll be very, very exciting. And I think more and more projects coming out, and then with Mainnet, being able to answer the question of like, oh, what are there for people to do on Mainnet is my top priority.
All right. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. I mean, we obviously are excited about your project and what we're what you guys are building, and we're also very much looking forward to Mainnet. But I mean, till then, we're just going to have to make sure to follow you guys, continue following you guys on Twitter. Everyone who's not following XION yet, make sure to do so. Also, make sure to follow their blog. And for anyone who dialed in later, this Twitter Spaces was recorded, so we will share that on our Twitter Spaces as well.
Awesome.
But that's it from us, and it was really great to have you on our Twitter Spaces.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. Thank you so much. And Dimitri, also thank you for your question.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dimitri. What would we do without you? Awesome.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.